What are your thoughts? 200 plus literacy groups involved in the importance of literacy and reading. What are your thoughts, Patricia, about that statement?
I think what life would be like if you couldn't read, or my life would be like if I didn't like to read. I was one of those kids with the flashlight under the blanket,
right.
you know, and I'm glad to think that there are kids like that to this day.
Well, I actually hated reading when I was a kid.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, because you were reluctant.
I've always liked TV and movies.
Yeah, you were a reluctant reader. What got you into reading?
Well, I got to tell you, I like reading screenplays and scripts, and I like reading comic books, and I like reading a lot of short stuff. I love reading the newspaper. There's nothing better to me than spending the morning reading the Los Angeles Times. I mean, there's something for everybody in the newspaper, whether it's the obituary or the sports page or the fashion page.
Now, are you like me, anybody? Let me tell you what I have. Next to my bed, I have the Magna Carta. I'm halfway through the Magna Carta.
Okay, then.
I have the Crusades. I have a book on the Crusades. I have Thomas Sowell, who has really a black conservative. He's talking about his perspective on slavery. So I have those books. Then on the other side, in the den, I have a book on Catholicism, one on the fact that from a religious perspective, I have the Bible, and I also have a book on ethics and values in today's culture. So I'm reading about 6 or 7 books at one time.
That sounds like a short book, though.
Yeah, right. I'm reading about 6 or 7 books. Are you guys the same way like I do? I just don't read one book completely all the way through.
Well, I'm like you, but I think one of the tips that we offer to parents is to really create these reading environments. You know, whether it's the bathroom or the kitchen or the living room, or even if you're in the car taking your kids to school.
Right.
You know, I mean, these reading environments can be everywhere, and I think as long as children see us, you know, reading and enjoy reading, taking time to read, that hopefully that will, be a good
Well, were your parents readers? Were your parents readers?
My parents took me to a library, and that's how my development of and love for reading started.
Patricia?
My parents were readers, but I lived in Houston, Texas in the summers, and that was before polio vaccines. Yeah. And so you couldn't play with a lot of other kids, so we always went to the library.
Well, the fact that you were a reluctant reader, were your parents readers?
My father's a librarian.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. He's a librarian. You were a reader. I
hated libraries. They smell funny, and people tell you to be quiet. And
you know, I wrote a piece for the Pueblo Star Journal from Pueblo, Colorado. I sent it to them. I don't know if they ever published it. And it had to do with the library that I went to. My father used to take a little red wagon. We didn't have a car. We'd pile a whole bunch of books, because he read. We had Life magazine, National Geographic. We had stacks of them in the back porch, because he was an avid reader. He only went up to the 9th grade, but he loved reading. He took us to the library at least once every 2 weeks, and we used to gather all these books in a little red wagon and take them home. And I wrote about the Pueblo Library, Central Library, the smell of the wood floor. We had one floor where we had a museum where there was a mummy. I remember sitting on the floor looking at that mummy and visualizing what kind of person this was. And my dad used to talk about these things. And you got to get excited about life. And reading does give you this feeling about you're outside of yourself doing what? Experiencing what? Danny?
To me, it's magical. You're totally using your imagination. But I'm not a person that says that. A lot of people freak out that kids are watching movies and TV, and I think that's fine. Integrate it with reading. I mean, there's nothing that pleases me more than a kid saying, "Oh, I saw that new Harry Potter movie. It's awesome." But the book's a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I want a kid to realize, is there's just wonderful things in books that you can discover that you wouldn't be exposed to.
And you want to make that author at least a billion dollar, what do you call it, author one more time, right?
Yeah, poor J.K. Rowling.
Yeah,
she's struggling.
I think she'll be fine now.
Exactly.
I think she'll be fine.
Hey guys, we have to go to a break. When we come back, I want each of you to give us some recommendations and some